Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. My name is Louisa and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs and coaches lift the lid on life and business so that they can live at their highest value. Each episode we will bring you our favourite founders, CEOs and guest experts to share with you their insights and strategies to expand your wealth consciousness, your spiritual leadership and aligned business strategies. We know that living in alignment with your soul's mission is what fulfills you, and we are here to show you how to achieve this in an energetically aligned way. If you haven't already, be sure to claim your free abundance activation in the Akashic Records. Go to louisahavers.com/gift to unlock your abundance activation today. And if you'd like my support in having aligned success in life and business, then contact me at www.louisahavers.com and let's explore together if it's an aligned match. Get ready to live at your highest value and to expand into your next level of money as you elevate and receive more. You create more for others. Righty ho, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to our episode for the Infinite Prosperity Podcast show. This week we are talking about writing for healing with the phenomenal Louisa Pinnock. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Louisa. I'm so grateful to be here today. It's the start of my March break as a teacher. So this is just a fantastic way to start off the week. Thank you.
Oh, I'm honored to kickstart it with you this way. Let me do a little bit of an introduction so everyone knows a little bit about, why are we having this amazing conversation today? So Lisa is a Toronto-based educator, speaker, writing coach, and lifelong learner. She is a best-selling author of four award-winning publications. She loves inspiring women to step into their power and light through community building, advocacy work, and impactful group writing experiences through her signature program for aspiring authors, Claim Your Voice Community. Lisa is passionate about using writing as a gateway for self-expression where strength can be found in the midst of vulnerability. And through her various projects, she hopes to lead women to a deeper level of self-awareness and empowerment. Oh, yes, Lisa, this is huge, impactful work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel it in my bones at this point. It's become such deep mission and purpose in my life that as I listen to those words, I really take them in and realize it's not only something that I love to do, but it's something that I'm called to do.
Yes. How did you get started with this particular niche? What made you start your business?
Well, that is actually a really interesting story because the timing of it was such that I by all intents and purposes, I should have said no, but I had this inner nudge that writing would be a pathway for me to heal after going through ending of a 20-year marriage. So what coincided with that very tumultuous time in my life was that a friend of mine was about to launch her second book, and she invited me to write a chapter in it, and it's called Women Let's Rise. Now, that was back in 2019. The book was released in the fall of 2020 to amazing success, and that really opened up the gateways for me. Like the floodgates were opened, and I was in awe of how much writing became this tool by which that I could express things that were so jumbled up in my head and heart at the time because of what I was going through, that they couldn't really be expressed in any other way. This was the most accessible pathway for me. And then I realized that if it helped me so much, it could help other women too, not necessarily who are going through a divorce, but any type of life challenge or upheaval really calls us to look within. And that, I think, is what writing for healing is all about.
Just incredible. And everyone, I don't know, I forget what the quote is, but there's a quote that goes something like everyone has a story to tell or a book inside of them.
That's so true. Yes. And I'm not sure who said it, but I agree 100%.
But you've had a few books inside of you. Which is just, I just love how you realized that being able to connect in with your word and how healing it was is just phenomenal. And tell us a little bit about, I mean, I love the title of your book, Uncover Your Light. Tell us a little
Thank
bit more
you.
about that concept and how it's played out in your life.
Yes, that concept really came to me, Louisa, through what I can only refer to now as a download. I had just finished the successful launch of my first book, Women Let's Rise, and I started having a lot of these, I guess, pictures, you could call them, right? Pictures in my mind, flashes, and then just clear as day messages about light. And what came to me through all of those, moments was this idea of how do we shine our light brightly when we've lost touch with who we are? And that became the premise and the point of inquiry for not one, but two books, because I guess a lot of women resonated with it. And I'm forever grateful for that, that magnetism to the message. But Uncover Your Light was born through that idea of, when our light is dimmed through circumstances, through, times in our lives where we have felt muted in some way, how do we reconnect with our true selves? And frankly, sometimes that detachment can be so long-standing and so deep that would you even recognize the real you if you bumped into her on the street? Like, if you think of it as a out of body type of experience. And I realized that at that point in my life, I didn't know who the real Lisa was. I was becoming aware that she was really hurting and she was really hidden. But again, writing was that tool by which I could reconnect with her. And when I started talking to women about this idea of writing in this book, I found so many ahas and, oh yeah, and me too. And, the momentum just had a life of its own. And I really believe that when an idea is meant to be, that's the pathway that will occur, not by your own doing, but really by the universe conspiring to propel you forward. And that's what it felt like, Louisa. Really, it was incredible.
Love that. It feels like the flow got easy because you were in the right pathway that you were meant to be going on. Do you know, when you said that piece around, would I even recognize Lisa if I was walking down the street and walked past her? I could feel that in my body, like recognizing, I know there have been moments in my life, had that image, out of body experience, I wouldn't have recognized myself.
Right.
So
Yes.
powerful. I'm sure everyone's listening going, yes. there's been moments where it's like, what's happened to me? How have I become this person?
Right. Yes.
So
And
incredible.
And you're right. And taking that time is to reflect on those moments. I mean, when you're in them, let's face it, it's hard. It's difficult because we're in survival mode. And I certainly, when this book concept came to me, I was by no stretch on the pathway of healing that I am now, but I recognize those touch points where one opportunity led to another and led to another that just allowed those healing moments to really sink in. And I'm forever grateful to authoring and writing for that.
It's incredible. You mentioned something that I just wanted to dive into about all the women, and you referred to the community. I know you've talked about your community in other conversations that we've had. How has building community been, do you think, been a key factor in your success?
It really has. I look back on, in the last, even preceding becoming an author, and just 5 years ago this month, I'm celebrating starting a community here in Markham, east of Toronto, where I live, with an organization called FemCity. And I've been the president of the local chapter of FemCity for 5 years. Like that time kind of flew by. and it's like, wow, that's a lot of years of building community on the local level, and also, of course, meeting other women in chapters elsewhere across North America. But what I realized very much in the sense of building a writing community was that the same concepts transferred, that, we are so much stronger together. And there's a saying that I think of often when I reflect on community and the impact it's had on my life. It's a rising tide lifts all boats. It doesn't distinguish between one or the other, and that speaks to me of the energy that's present when women come together for a common purpose and really hone in on lifting each other higher. I also find that writing can be a very isolating activity if you do it in the traditional sense of, you kind of picture this person squirreling away, writing at their desk and getting writer's block and tearing up the page, whatever that concept might be. I wanted to turn that on its head, because I knew very much that I had missed some aspects of that. I mean, I loved writing in my first book. It was an incredible, as I said, incredible healing experience. Opened up so many gateways for me, but I kind of wanted to have more of a sense of, okay, we're in this together and we can build on each other's energy. And what would that look like in real time? Like what would a writing community really look and feel like? So I thought about that a lot before we dove into writing these 2 volumes. And I think that's something that many of the co-authors have said to me during and since the books have launched, is that they felt seen and heard by others, and that allowed them to really pour themselves out onto the page in a way that they don't think would have happened if they had been just doing it in a silo. Yeah,
I love that. I do think I agree with you that community, we all crave community. I think community is such a fundamental piece for our own well-being, but to be able to have that where there's a shared interest, like writing a book, because otherwise, your family, if they're not writing a book, I'm not going to know what you're going on about, or why something's suddenly so important, or the emotional journey that you've suddenly gone down because you've opened up some aspect of the story that you're talking about. I can see how important that community is, to be able to have that shared experience. Just absolutely, magical.
It was magical for sure.
There's so many people that I know as they're starting out their businesses, or at any point in their business, that think, yeah, I'm going to get that book that's inside of me out now. I know that I'm like, right, this is the year that I'm going to get my book out as well. What advice would you have to aspiring writers who perhaps are unsure about starting their author journey? Say, I'm an author.
This is a wonderful question, and it's one that I have so much lived experience with. Over the course of the last 2 years, I've worked with over 40 women with this exact mantra. This question comes up repeatedly, and for good reason, because I think writing takes us, for the most part, out of our comfort zone. It's something that requires great vulnerability. And especially in the cases of the types of books that I've been part of have been these personal stories that are often so raw and sometimes quite fresh. And how do you open yourself up to sharing that when sometimes you are still healing from the ramifications of whatever you're sharing. And one thing that I've said to many of my co-authors and the women that I help presently with starting is to know and to realize that it is a journey in which self-belief is at the cornerstone, and diving into a sense of believing that you are an author starts with telling yourself that, even if you don't believe it. And in the last week, we talked in my writing group, Claim Your Voice community, about this idea of affirmations. And, we've all heard and said probably self-love and confidence affirmations before. And what we did as a group was write a set of affirmations that we could use as like our writer's first aid kit. So that when those negative ideas and thoughts come up, which invariably will, the ones that say, who's going to want to hear your story? Who do you think you are? You're a writer? Those things will inevitably be part of the journey. And recognizing that at the outset is really important, because then you can have a toolkit to help you through those times when it happens. So that exercise, just as an example, as a practical point of writing out whatever it is, short phrases. I always suggest making them short, because they will more likely be committed to memory. And the idea is for these to be part of your in your bones eventually with repetition. So those affirmations would be personal, but they would really affirm you as a powerful writer even before you feel that, because really what you're doing is you're speaking to your future self. And we talk about that so much in our work and what you do with energetic healing, Louisa. It's been, as you know, a mind shift for me, and having that space to apply much of what I've learned through that platform and that community to what I'm doing with my aspiring authors. There's been so much connection, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that, because it's just, once you know it, you can't help but share it. You have to share it, don't you? Because you see the impact in your own life, and then the ripple effect out into be able to share that learning and with your own clients is, it's just absolutely huge. I love that. And I love those short affirmations as well. They're like spells, aren't they? Because we create as we speak, and like you say, when they are short, they're easier to remember and to imprint into the subconscious mind. I call them brain tattoos.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna remember that one. Yes.
It is like, I value my value. I value my value. You can kind of just, with whatever one you've been working with, you can just remember it, can't you? It's like, I love the ones with rhythm as well, because they're musical, aren't they?
As a musician, I'm all over that concept. I love it. It's true. It's true. Oh, yes.
I love it. Is there anything else that you've learned about the energetics of writing that, as you're reflecting on this, that you can share?
Yes, for sure. I've been very grateful for the different opportunities that have come along for me to use writing through the writing process. It's like taking a trip back in time and being able to pinpoint times in my life when it may have been fraught with a multitude of unknowns and perhaps, insecurities of whatever type, but being able to see them, unpack them, and see them from a different perspective and in a new light. I know that it has absolutely changed the way that I perceive those painful times in my life. And being able to shift the lens from that happened to me woeest me to that happened for me. Yay me. And for me, Louisa, that has been such a pivotal part of each of the writing experiences that I've been blessed to have, that, being able to have a safe space to see my thoughts, give them some grace to breathe and to sift through them for meaning, insights, and future direction. That's really for me what writing for healing and also writing for empowerment has been all about. So that, to me, just knowing that it's available and it's accessible to all of us. A lot of times first-time authors feel, or people who are thinking of delving into writing think, I don't have the skill set. This isn't something that I've learned. And I just would really like to peel that away in saying that most of the authors I worked with in the last 2 years had no writing experience whatsoever. You would not know that when you open their chapter and read it, because what came out through the page was their heart. And that's going to look different in every case, but that's how you connect with your reader. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. Yeah, I'm going to get teary.
I know. Oh, those women that you work with and their stories, to have really shared that is a really emotional journey to have gone on with them as they've got the confidence to share their voice and to allow their voice to be heard. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. What are, you might have covered this already, but just thinking about, with all the gifts that you offer, what are the top 3 tips that you can share with other entrepreneurs in business?
Oh, I love that question. And yes, I think I had a hard time honing it down to 3. Because I think that's it. That's right. There's my next book right there. But I feel that trusting your inner compass. My first foray into writing in that book, Women Let's Rise, my chapter was entitled Trusting Your Intuition. And it was a great starting point for me, because in that chapter, I really traced back where in my life from childhood, I realized that I was leaning into my inner voice without even knowing it, because I didn't have the words or the concepts back then to know that's what it was. But, your intuition is there to guide you and it won't steer you wrong. So I firmly believe that is foundational for whatever business you're in. And that does takes time to develop that self-trust. But just know that being on the same frequency and putting yourself in the alignment with what your inner voice is saying is something that we can all learn to do. I've learned to hone that skill with you, Louisa, very much, and I'm eternally grateful. So it is available to all. And another thing would be surrounding yourself with other people in community who lift you higher. Finding mentors like you have been to me, and I can name so many others in the last few years who have really shown me how to peel back those layers of the onion, as one of my mentors, Sarah McCready, refers to it as. She's a toxic relationship intuitive mentor, and she specifically deals with women who've left and come out of a relationship like that. How do you heal? I mean, it's very fraught with a lot of layers, because once you've peeled back one, you realize, okay, there's more.
Yes. Healing's not linear, is it? I think often we can think, oh, I've gone from A to B, so now I should be on C. Mm-hmm.
No. Sometimes you loop back around to A, and then you kind of stay in this hamster wheel for a while. That's what it can feel like. and knowing that that's okay, and that's not a sign of you being broken. It actually is so part of the process, that as I've learned myself. But yes, for sure. And the third thing, my third tip would be to become a student of knowing yourself. And I've, as a teacher and educator my entire life, and a lifelong learner, as you said in the intro, I love learning all kinds of aspects of development, personal development, business development, you name it, I'll, soak it in. But I think for any of us on this journey, no matter where we're heading, what is so foundational is knowing who you are at the very core of your being. And that is perhaps deeper than you may think, because I thought I knew who I was. And then when I leaned further into this healing journey, I realized that there was more to uncover. And it's a wonderful thing to know that you are such a complex, beautiful being, that studying yourself and knowing yourself intimately can be a full-time job. And it's a really important one to take on.
Oh, those tips are going to help people to have, embodying those tips will help people have successful businesses that thrive. So thank you for sharing them. So key. Lisa, I know everyone's going to be thinking, how can I get hold of Lisa? How can people find you? Stay in your world.
Oh, I would love that. And I am on the socials, and I'm very open to direct messages of any kind. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn under my name, Lisa Pinnock. And also on Instagram, you can follow my writing journey. I post quite a lot about that there. And that's at Lisa M. Pinnock. And I've just launched, as Louisa mentioned, this wonderful writing community. So I am excited and really pumped about what these women are already bringing the fire into their writing. And we are only in week 1, so it's not too late to join us. Just, being able to witness that on an intimate level is just a true gift. So if it sounds like something that would be in your wheelhouse, please reach out anytime.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. That's so generous. And I know everyone's going to be reaching out to connect with you. I highly recommend that they do, because there is a book inside everybody. And like you mentioned, we all need our mentors and people who can model it for us, so we can know shortcuts to the path of success.
That's true. For sure. Thank you for having me, Louisa.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Lisa. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation today and how writing can really help you with healing. And we'd love to hear all your thoughts and insights. Do come and join us in our Facebook group, Money Kinesiology for 6 and 7 Figure CEOs. Share your thoughts, your takeaways. Let's carry on the conversation there. Until our next episode, sending you all lots and lots of love. Namaste. Thanks for listening to the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. And if you like what you've heard and want to know more, please go to louisahavers.com. We just appreciate you so much. So thank you for listening and hanging out with us. If there's anything that we can do for you, you can email us at louisa@louisahavers.com. Let my team know if you have any ideas for shows that you'd love to hear or topics you want me to talk about. Really looking forward to hearing from you. All right, that is it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Until next time, namaste.